So I am Karen LeBeau. I'm one of the middle school co-chairs. You guys also might know Sandy Mayran. She's not on the call, but she also helps me out with the middle school fair as well. And as I do this, I'm also a high school teacher, so I know exactly what you guys are going through with teaching and virtual lessons and in person and hybrid and remote schedules. Tomorrow is actually our first day back with a hybrid schedule. So it's going to be the first time we see students in person since March. So I think the kids are very excited to go back. So it'll be nice to see them. And then I'd like to introduce Helen Rosenfeld. She is our new executive director for MSEF. So Helen, if you want to just say a few words.
Hi everyone, it's so nice to meet you, and I look forward to getting to know you over the coming years. I joined in February, right before everything shut down, so I'm trying my best to connect remotely and learn as much as possible as we go. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, perfect. And if we just, I'll just go through, I think my first one, if you just want to say your name and where you're from and kind of what your plan is for science fair this year, if you have a plan. I think Wendy, you were my first one.
I am Wendy Rush, and I'm at Dover Sherborne Middle School. I'm actually covering for Mary Memmott. She took a leave this year. So I said I wanted to take on the science fair, and I'm not sure what we're doing yet, but I am excited to do it.
And we are here to help you. I definitely know that name. So we are here to help with whatever you need.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Sister Jean, if you want to go.
Sorry, I need to unmute. My name is Sister Jean Morris. I'm a science middle school teacher and coordinator at St. Catherine's Siena School in Norwood. We are planning to do all the students have to do a science project. Whether we'll have a fair, that's another story. But we certainly are going to do something that will require virtual presentations. And when I heard that we were going with the regional and state, I certainly got on board to get some of those students I know that are of, challenging nature. So we're ready to go. We're starting. We've already started. So I'm excited.
Excellent. Okay, and I think Mary Jo, is that? I can't see the names as I see your pictures.
Yep, I'm from Calvary Chapel Academy. I'm the middle school and high school science teacher. We're not sure what we're going to do this year with the science fair. Currently, we've been in school full-time since September 2nd, but we'll see, how things go. So I'm not quite sure yet what we're going to do.
Okay, perfect. Bethany?
My name's Bethany. I'm at St. Mary's Mansfield, and I am the middle school math and science teacher, advanced math and science teacher, and our plan is to have some form of a science fair this year.
Excellent. And Jordan, I know, said he was in a meeting, so I'm not sure if you're free or not yet, Jordan.
I am.
Okay.
We are, typically we have all of our students do a science experiment, and then about half of them go to our in-school fair. But this year, I think that we're going to be making it optional. If they want to do a project, the other option is just to be doing a research proposal instead of a hypothetical experiment that they could carry out. We're still just waiting on specifics of what the region and state will what they want. That way, students, if they're doing an asynchronous recorded presentation, they only have to record it one time, and it could potentially be used to move on from our fair to be submitted to the region and the state. I don't know if there's any word yet on if it's going to be synchronous or not, or.
I think this meeting, will help you understand that, at least for the middle school. And are you at Taunton?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought with Taunton. And you work with Kristen, right? Yep. Okay, and I remember did you go to ISEF one year?
I did. I went a few years ago. It was the year they made the movie of it.
Okay. That's what I thought. Perfect. And then I just had, was it Sarah who joined?
Yes, hi.
Hi, we're just doing a quick introduction and where you're from.
Okay. So I'm in Mansfield, Massachusetts, and I'm with Alnur Academy. We're a private middle and high school here in Mansfield. And so we've been doing science fair for the past couple of years. And this year we're going to do it virtually. We're still trying to figure out how exactly the format is going to be, but I'm having the students carry out, hopefully safe experiments in their homes on their own, and then doing a presentation virtually to selected judges for us, and then hopefully move on to the regional science fair.
Perfect. So I think a lot of what I'll talk about today will help answer those questions you do have. So I'm happy you guys are here and you do have these questions, so we can definitely share with all the other my middle school teacher database as well.
Sorry, one question I realized. I'm recording this session in case others afterwards want to review it. If anyone has an issue with that, please send me a message in the chat or email us afterwards. But this will be probably on our website for other teachers to look at on their own time.
Okay, perfect. And I don't think I missed anyone. All right. So, oops, let me go over here 1 second. Okay, so as you guys probably know, your middle school regions, we have 6 regions throughout the state. Region 1 is Western Mass. Deborah Day at Smith College handles that. Region 2 is in Central Mass. Myself and Lisa Greenwald's run that one, and that's located at WPI. Region 3, which I think a lot of you are possibly from, is Colleen Vickery at Bristol Community College, which is the Southwest region. Region 4 is Carol Barry at UMass Lowell, which is Northeastern. Oops, I missed an N there. And then we have Erin McQuaid at Region 5, which is Southeastern Mass. And then Region 6 is all of Boston Public Schools. So we'll get contact information that is all out also on our website. And I can report that all of the schools will be doing regions will be doing a virtual fair. We just don't feel at this time, we don't think it's, we don't know if it's safe, to have large gatherings yet. There's really been no guidance on that. So at this point, all of our fairs will be virtual. So we will definitely be having them, just not in person. And so also for the state, so like I said, the state fair will be virtual. I'm kind of just giving a range of dates, May 12th through 19th. We're still kind of trying to finalize exactly when that judging will happen. And like I said, regional fairs will be determined. I kind of put the range of dates because we still need to figure out, I was going to keep how usually the middle school fair is on a Saturday, and we would do the judging Saturday mornings. We were just a little nervous. We're not sure if all students will have a device to connect with a judge. We're still going to have live connections and conversations with judges. So we're thinking we might have to have sometimes on Friday available in case students don't have a device at home, just because we're not totally sure of that. So I just wanted to go over the process of the middle school fair. Most of you know this process because you have been part of the science fair for quite a few years. But this year, I'm not sure if some schools are just fully virtual, or you do have the remote or the hybrid, or you're fully back in school. Like Mary Jo said, she's been fully back in school. So it starts with an individual research project that can be done at home or it could be done at school. Some schools have a school fair. And then what happens is the top projects from each school, and the number depends on the region. Like for instance, Region 2, we allow each school to send 10 projects to our regional fair, but we're still working out the numbers this year depending upon when or how many schools are actually going to participate this year. So maybe it could be up. I'm not sure in the past what your regions have done, how many projects could go. So that number will be coming from your regional chair. And then those projects from your school, so like I said, at Region 2, it's the top 10 projects go on to the regional fair. And then at your regional fair, the top 40 projects at your regional fair move on to the state fair. So that number will still be the same as in previous years. And then what happens is, I think mostly everyone knows this, but each school can also send one additional project to the state fair. So maybe if you have one project who couldn't make it to the regional fair, that could be your project to go to the state fair. Or maybe you have one of your 10 projects didn't place, they could be that additional project to the state fair. So it's up to you how you want to choose that additional project. And then from your regional fair, they'll go on to the virtual state fair. And also at your regional fair and the state fair, there's opportunities for students to place for Broadcom Masters. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with that, but that's an additional online science fair competition, and everything they apply online, they upload their forms that way. And judges at Broadcom, which is the Society for Science in the Public, would read through them. They pick like a top 300, and then they narrow it down to a top 30. And then usually those 30, the top 30 are invited to go to Washington, D.C. In the past, we have had some Massachusetts students be part of that top 30. So that's just an additional competition that we can send students to. So from that, and as you guys know, middle school process, you can do a scientific method process. You can also do the engineering design process. You can work with your students to figure out which one their project is based on. We do have that reflects on our judging score sheet if you do the scientific method, if students follow that, or they follow the engineering design process. So that. And this is just kind of, and like I said, you guys have all worked on science fair before, you know, kind of the process of going through it, the choosing a certain topic, setting up your notebook. Students need to learn about variables, develop a question, hypothesis, how to write your procedure, analyze data, draw conclusions, and cite your sources. So we wanted to offer some additional kind of webinars for this. So our next one, I'll show later, will be about choosing a topic and setting up a notebook, which you can, we're going to have a middle school teacher present her material on how she does this with her students. So we're going to kind of group those for future webinars for you to attend. And also we do have this really great guidebook that was developed by MSEF interns and former science fair participants. We're just have to kind of go through it and double check everything, but it's a great working document for students to use. So we'll share that with you once it's completely done. We're just kind of tweaking it a little bit. So it'll be a great book for you to share with your students. And rules and regulations, they're the same rules and regulations as we've had in the past. I'm not going to go through them all. You guys probably know what's right and what's wrong. I'd say our biggest one is the ingestion and inhalation. No putting anything in your mouth, no smelling. That's always one of the biggest ones I have to usually deny or send back to fix. And the other one this year, which might be hard, is I'm sure like sometimes middle school students, a few of them maybe go work in a lab. Usually it happens with high school students. Probably labs this year aren't allowing students to work in their labs. So the bacteria, we only allow like E. coli K12 bacteria, which is usually purchased from Carolina. That's one of the ones we allow. But the thing is, you have to work in a lab or a school fume hood, a school lab for that one. So that's one of the big ones. You can't do that type of experiment at home. But most experiments students have done in the past will be accepted. But like I said, our biggest ones are the ingestion and inhalation. And no bodily fluids or teeth. That's another big one. They always like to do projects with teeth. We usually suggest using eggshells. That is allowed. And no composting. That's another big one. A lot of people want to do that, but we say no composting just because we really don't know what type of bacteria is in there that's happening through that process. And let's see. So here are some requirements for the virtual fair this year. This is maybe a little new. I know in the past we've always wanted students to have a bound notebook. This year we are allowing a digital lab journal. Okay, there's a few out there. I know Google has one, or students could just work on a Google Doc. Penzu, which is PENZU, is another one some science folks have recommended to us, but we will allow a digital lab notebook this year. I know in the past our score sheet says a bound notebook, but just for the sake of the pandemic and what we're going through, we will allow a digital lab notebook for the year. And then the same requirements in the past, a lab report we ask for, a poster. So we're still kind of working out the technicalities with the poster. So that's why I said like specific requirements to follow. And I'll explain why we're still working that in a further slide. Just because we don't know, like if you're talking with the judge, it might be difficult for the judge to like see your poster if we're through a computer. So we're still kind of working out the kinks, and maybe if we want to do a like a Google slideshow or a PowerPoint presentation. So we will get those specific requirements once I just have a meeting with my regional chairs to kind of iron that out. And then also students will still present their project to judges for about 5 to 10 minutes, which has happened in the past, especially at the state fair with so many projects to judge in that short period of time. But there will be one-on-one meetings with judges virtually, just so students can present their work and actually get feedback and answer questions from judges, because we feel that's an important part of this whole process. And I think one of the things the students love the most is when they talk with the judge. So those are some of the requirements. They are changed for the year. Just as I said, mostly that digital lab journal is our biggest change. And then what else is new this year is, I'm not sure if anyone teaches high school also here, is we're using a new platform. I know middle school has always been paper-based, where you send your projects to your regional safety review committee, they read them, send them back. At least that's what I do at Region 2. This year we are using an online management tool. It's called ZFairs. It's going to be a tool where students can register through that. They'll also upload their paperwork through there, so teachers can, teachers can view it, and also the safety review committee can view it easily. So we're kind of heading in the step of the right direction, not less paper. My husband won't say, why do we have all this paper in our basement? So it will be an online management tool. It also does a judge registration, and it does a project match with judges. And that's how we'll send out the projects for judges to look at. And it has a teacher login where you can go in and log in to see how your students, if they've registered, if they started the process. And it's going to be our platform for the virtual process. So it will be the platform for the interactions with judges, and also how judges will score as well. And it will be set up at the regional level. Trainings will be offered. We're just about finalizing the tweaks of ZFairs to push it out to the middle school. It has been pushed out to the high school, but usually middle schools are a little later. So we're just kind of finalizing everything for the ZFair process, and then that will be pushed out. But it's the same paperwork students have done in the past with the Form 1A, 1B, Form 1C, which is the human participants. We'll still have that. And then Form D is the designated supervisor. So the forms are all the same. And then we kind of took out the registration form, and that's where students answer all the questions. So the paperwork is the same. It's just this process, the online management tool for this. So once we do roll that out, I'll send an email to all the teachers in my database, and we will have some trainings for that as well. And then, like I mentioned, future workshops. We do have coming up October 28th, choosing a topic and setting up a journal. We also have setting up an experiment and analyzing data and writing a conclusion. So those are just some of the future workshops we do have for you guys. I know I kind of went through that quickly, but I figured, does anyone have questions about this or about the process for the 2021 year?
I just put a question in the chat, but I can.
Oh, you know what? I can't see the chat. So, you know what? I think I'm going to stop my share just so I can see everybody again. So let me take a look. Okay.
I haven't poked around in ZFairs yet. Is it entirely a virtual process? Because even when we were using in the high school, the Stephos, it was like, yes, it was online, but you had to print it and then sign it and then scan it and then submit it online. Is ZFairs any more streamlined?
Yes. Helen, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we do allow the e-signatures in this process.
Yes.
So there will be, yes, e-signatures. So I think that's a lot of help also. Like teachers can sign it that way. They can see their students' work and sign paperwork that way as well. Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a question about the lab notebooks?
Yeah.
So you did mention that you're allowing students to have virtual, like Google Docs. But if a student chooses to have a bound notebook, is there a way that they can share that with the judges if they don't have it online?
Yes, there is ways. So in the past, we've had, like I organize an ISEF kind of judge off for high school projects, and they can take like 3 pictures of their notebook to share if they want to. Yes. Yep. Okay. That will be fine as well.
But just to confirm, there'll need to still be an electronic version of it. So it will be a scan or a digitized piece of the actual hard copy.
Okay, but a picture of it would be enough. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I like, Jordan, I'm just seeing your chat about students work at home. So yeah, we were thinking about for the future topics. Do you think students would be interested in the future topics? Like if you shared those webinars with students, would they be interested, do you think, in attending?
Potentially. I would be nervous about students attending just because then it becomes running a virtual class with a bunch of students that don't and you haven't established norms, and it could be immediate chaos. But parents potentially, because a lot of parents are very invested, and they get emails before school starts saying what's the plan with the science fair this year. So potentially that could happen. Parents would be interested. I don't know what it's like this year, but if I got the okay, I was going to tell my teachers to email their parents to let them know the schedule if someone wanted to show up.
Perfect. I think that's a great idea. Mm-hmm. Other questions about this process for the year? Was this helpful for you?
I was just wondering if, if there's a similar guideline for high school students, like a workshop like this or some more guidance, because that tends to be a little more complicated than the middle school process. So it would be helpful if we had a seminar like this for that.
Okay.
We can bring that back to the team and see if somebody would be willing to do that. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, and is your thought that this should be targeted for that group to the teachers still, or to the students more directly, or any thoughts on sort of the best audience and how to best position it?
Yeah, so for my school as well, I think if it was open to parents, not so much students, I could invite 1 or 2 students, because I do have some student leaders that, kind of take initiative and guide others as mentors, but, not open to all students.
Okay.
But I think parents would definitely benefit for something like that.
Okay, thanks for that feedback.
Sister Jean?
Karen, with the digital notebooks, do you have samples of how that would be set up? It could be monotonous if it's just all typed in without any kind of creative artwork, or
yes.
I know some of the books can always be so creative when they do them.
We can come up with some guidelines for the online lab notebook. I know we still want it dated, every day dated. You can insert pictures, of your work easily. Like if they're using a Google Doc, we can have them do that. But I can speak with the committee and we can kind of come up with some guidelines for the digital notebook. That's a great question. Any other questions about this? Yes, Wendy.
Thank you. When, do you know yet when middle school students would need to register by?
So most, with the exception of usually Region 3 and Region 6, I forget what region you're in. Is it Region 5? So usually their fairs, like my fair, they're more in like April, beginning of May.
Okay.
Or like, I'd say more April, like first weekend of May, I'd say. So that's why we have time with the middle school for right now. I know Region 3 usually holds theirs with the high school fair, although when we told the Region 3 chair that a lot of middle schools hold it later, she's like, oh, that's a really good idea. So I don't know if she would change the date of it or not this year, but that is, we still have time, to register. So registration, I mean, usually like my Region 2, my safety check, because we always want the projects checked for safety before the students start it, is kind of like a rolling submission process. And then we'd like them usually by, I think, the first week of March to kind of go through forms to make sure they're safe, and then students start working on them. They kind of spend this time developing their hypothesis, procedure, figuring out variables, and then start the project after the unit.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
So just to clarify that, so Miss Vickery, who's from Region 3, she just sent out a date. I think it was between March 6th and 13th is what they're saying for dates, which is actually similar to last year. And I think their deadlines, they didn't give me the deadline, but I would think that it's probably similar just because the date of the fair is about the same. So they usually do it around January. So I don't know if there's a change in that or.
No, then that's probably the same. She'll probably keep it the same for middle school and high school fair together for Region 3. And like I said, my Z fairs for the middle school, I know it's up and running for the high school level. It will be up and running shortly for middle school.
Okay.
And we have the manual on the our Sci-Fair website as well, which is the same. It kind of goes into a little more detail about what's allowed and what's not allowed. But you guys are all old pros. You know what projects are usually allowed and what can't be allowed.
Yeah. And the guideline notebook that you were talking about, when do you expect that would be available?
I will have to put it together. So within like a few, I'd say like 2 weeks or something, just by the time I kind of talk with everybody. I didn't have that kind of in my mind, but that's a really good idea for us to have.
Thank you.
Do you know how many submissions Region 5 can have for the regional fair?
I don't. Is anyone else from Region 5 here?
DS?
Yeah, it's usually 10 per school.
10.
Limited 10 per
Okay, so 10 from my school. Okay.
Yes.
Thank
And
you.
that's how, if like you have more, if you have 20 projects that you're doing, you might have to have a school fair to figure out who your 10 projects would be to send to the regional fair.
Right.
And then, out of those 10 who didn't make it, you could maybe make that, like, say, 11th place project be your direct entry if you wanted to the state fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Sister
Thank
Jean.
Karen, do you think they might have more than 10? You might not, because of the number of students that may not participate because of this virtual.
That's what we're thinking. So I'm going to have a meeting with my regional chairs to set that up or to kind of try and determine their number, because that's what we don't know. Like, I'm so happy you guys are all still thinking about doing your science fair, but this could be definitely an off year where some schools maybe decide not to do it. So there could be extra spaces. And also, extra spaces, as in, you know, sometimes the regions like feed each kid, which could be an expense. And if they don't have that expense, then maybe they'll allow to be able to send more projects. It also just depends on the number of judges they're going to get. That's a great question. We will definitely ask that. Anything else you guys have questions about? And I am here all the time to send me a quick email if you do have questions. And I think it would be great to share this with parents for like the next one, how to set it up. It'll be led by Lisa Greenwald, who's, you might recognize her face at the state fair. She helps out there a lot.
For those of you who might still be on the fence, I feel like one or two of you said you're not sure yet. Are there any thoughts on what we might be able to do to help make it possible? Or I know it's this is just such a challenging time. We just don't want to sort of lose the momentum, but we completely appreciate all the, you know, the competing interests and the challenges of the year ahead. But if there's anything else you can think of that we can provide or think about doing, please share that.
All right. Well, I won't take up any more of your time. Thank you so much for joining. I didn't know what we'd have, so I'm happy I had people today. So thank you, and we'll send out another email with the next workshops for you to register and attend. So
Great. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.